They say hell doesn't start with fire. It starts with routine. Mine began at 6:45 a.m., with a cup of black coffee and the sound of Emily humming in the kitchen, off-key, like always. She wore that blue robe I got her 5 Christmases ago, tied in a careless knot at her waist. On the outside, it looked like a normal Tuesday in Indiana. But I remember something felt off. The coffee tasted different, metallic, bitter. The dog, Max, wouldn't stop staring at her. And when she kissed my cheek goodbye, her lips felt colder than usual. She left at 7:10 a.m. sharp, like she always did, off to teach second graders their alphabet and manners. Only this time, she turned right at the end of the street. School was left. The moment her car disappeared, I stood up. Just stood there, mug in hand, heart thudding like a warning drum. For most men, betrayal sneaks in quiet. For me, it kicked the door off its hinges. The next morning, I followed her. Didn't tell work. Just got in my car and stayed 2 blocks behind. She drove with the same calm, casual rhythm, radio on, window cracked. Nothing out of the ordinary, except for where she went. Not a school. A luxury apartment downtown. 11th floor. She was inside for exactly 2 hours and 17 minutes. I waited in my car, watching, sweating, not breathing. When she came out, she looked lighter. Her hair had been restyled, lipstick freshened, and she was smiling like I hadn't seen in years. She didn't see me. I followed her the rest of the way to the school, watched her walk inside with her usual tote bag and fake calm. That night, I ate spaghetti across from a woman I didn't know. She asked about my day. I lied. So did she. Over the next 2 weeks, I watched her repeat the same pattern. Early Dieter. Same building. Same man. I found out his name easily enough. Douglas Mercer. Big shot insurance guy. Divorced. Wore silk ties. Drove a black Lexus with dealership tags still on it. I didn't rage. I didn't cry. I watched. And I waited. I bought a burner phone and installed a GPS tracker in her glove box. I took photos. I logged dates and times. I became a ghost in my own marriage. But ghosts don't stay quiet forever. One night, I went down to the basement to grab an old power drill. I opened a random box, and that's when I found it. A folded receipt. Jewelry. White gold. Sapphire pendant. Bought 3 months ago. Not by me. Not for me. It was the final crack. I sat there on the cold basement floor, staring at it, hearing her upstairs brushing her teeth, the way you do when you think your life's still whole. Something in me shifted that night. Not rage. Not heartbreak. Something older. Heavier. Clarity. Because betrayal doesn't just happen. It grows in the places where love goes quiet. And Emily? She hadn't just slipped away. She'd sold her soul for a sapphire necklace and soft hotel sheets. She thought she was clever. She thought I was weak. She had no idea who she was married to. And soon, neither would Douglas. I didn't go to work the next day. I told them I had the flu. I didn't. I had purpose. At 9:03 a.m., Emily sent me a text. "How are you feeling, babe?" I stared at it for 10 seconds. Then replied, "Better. Just resting." She replied with a heart emoji. Then she turned right out of our neighborhood. Again. While she was busy cheating in an 11th floor apartment, I was downstairs at the kitchen table, surrounded by papers, receipts, and copies of things she thought I never noticed. Joint bank statements. Hidden withdrawals. She'd opened a separate savings account. Small amounts at first, $50 here, $100 there. But over the past 9 months, she'd moved over $14,000. Discreet, regular, and just under the radar. And that sapphire necklace? The one Doug Mercer bought her? That wasn't the only gift. I cross-checked her emails. Birthday reservations at restaurants I'd never been to. Charges for spa treatments I never heard about. Weekend conferences she said were for school. They weren't. It wasn't just betrayal. It was theft. She wasn't just leaving me emotionally. She was preparing to leave me financially. That's when I made my first move. I called an old friend, Jason. He's a cybersecurity guy, ex-military, paranoid by nature. I told him Emily had been acting strange, and I wanted to track her digital footprint. I didn't tell him everything. Just enough. By that evening, he'd installed software on my devices that let me mirror her texts, emails, and GPS in real time. And what I saw made my blood slow in my veins. She told Doug she loved him. She said she'd be done with Tom in a few weeks. She even joked that I was too boring to notice. Doug replied with a photo, his house keys. Said he couldn't wait to wake up next to her every day. They were planning it. A clean exit. A quiet discard. Only, it wouldn't be clean. And it damn sure wouldn't be quiet. Revenge doesn't work if it's messy. Or emotional. It works when it's surgical. Precise. Thought out. So I started planning. First, I stopped using our joint cards. Moved my direct deposit to an old credit union account she didn't know about. She'd think I was still coasting along unaware. Next, I called an estate attorney, asked about how to legally shift home ownership without spousal signatures. You can't. Not easily. But I asked all the right questions and learned all the loopholes. Third, I had Jason dig into Doug Mercer. Doug wasn't just rich. He was also sloppy. Married twice. Sued once. Kept assets under shell companies. Liked to play fast and loose with taxes. He had skeletons. And I was about to open the closet door. That night, I sat across from Emily on the couch while she watched some reality show, laughing like a teenager. She offered me popcorn. I took some. Smiled. She had no idea I knew every move she'd made that day. No idea that while she was in Doug's bed, I'd sent fake resumes to his HR department from burner emails, just to dig into his internal structure. No idea that I'd followed one of his employees to a bar after work and struck up a casual conversation over bourbon. I wasn't just watching them. I was getting inside their world. Because if Emily wanted to build a new life with Doug, I'd burn it down before they ever got the chance. But revenge isn't about rage. It's about erosion. Wearing them down. One move at a time. And my next move? It would leave a mark. Doug Mercer had a second phone. Not a work phone, a secret one. I found out through a simple trick. I cloned Emily's messages. Watched her complain to Doug that he wasn't responding fast enough on the main line. She called it the canary. A joke between them. Their little secret. Jason traced the number. It was unregistered. Prepaid. But used frequently at his office. Same IPs. Same tower pings. So I did something simple. I leaked it. To his company's board. From an anonymous email. Titled, Doug Mercer, 2 lives, 1 liability. Attached were screenshots of texts, locations, and, my favorite part, a PDF from a fake legal firm implying a possible affair with a married woman that could affect client trust. I didn't need it to explode. Just simmer. Paranoia's a slow poison. By the next week, Doug's canary stopped chirping. He told Emily to cool things down. For now. She didn't like that. I watched her mood shift in real time. She got quieter. Edgier. Started drinking more wine at night. She still kissed me. Still smiled. But it was thinner now. fragile. I kept playing dumb. Then I made my second move. I had Jason spoof an email from the Indiana State Tax Office. Just a little phishing line, nothing too aggressive. Something to rattle Doug. It worked better than I expected. Because Doug didn't just cheat with my wife. He cheated the system. For years. He'd been claiming deductions through LLCs that didn't exist anymore. The email caused him to panic. He called 3 different lawyers in one day. I know, because I called 2 of them right after, posing as concerned competition, asking if they specialized in corporate fraud. All this happened while Emily was shopping for spring throw pillows. She had no clue the man she was planning to leave me for was coming apart at the seams. But this isn't the part where everything unravels. This is the part where I tighten the noose. Because I still hadn't confronted her. I hadn't raised my voice. I hadn't given her any reason to suspect me. But then, she slipped. One night, she left her laptop open. Said she was too tired to shut it down. I waited until she was asleep. Then I checked her browser history. She had searched how to file for divorce without telling spouse. Moving money without notice Indiana. Legal separation versus abandonment. It was happening. She was getting ready to pull the trigger. That's when I acted fast. I met with a private attorney, not in town. 2 counties over. Cash only. Asked about preemptive financial shields. Real estate trusts. Asset protections. Then I quietly changed the deed on our house. Not to remove her, which I couldn't, but to transfer it into an LLC under my name only. If she tried to leave me, she'd get nothing but furniture and regrets. But I wasn't done. I left a single, tiny clue for her to find. Just one. I took the receipt for the sapphire necklace, the one I found in the basement, and I placed it in her sock drawer. Then I waited. It took her 3 days to find it. She didn't ask me about it. Didn't say a word. But that night, she didn't sleep. I heard her pacing the hallway at 3 a.m. Suddenly, she wasn't sure what I knew. She couldn't tell if it was luck or a trap. She became cautious, nervous. And when she texted Doug that morning, it was short. Tom's been acting different. Just a feeling, Doug replied. Don't panic. Stick to the plan. That was the wrong answer. Because now Emily was caught between 2 lives, one cracking from pressure, the other rotting from the inside. She started taking different routes to school. Changed her passwords. Checked my phone when I was in the shower. She was unraveling. And I hadn't even touched her yet. It was a Thursday. Windy. The kind of wind that rattles window panes and sets dogs barking down the block. Max lay by the fireplace, head on his paws, unaware that his owners were walking through a minefield. I knew it was coming. I could see it in the way Emily avoided eye contact all week. She'd smile without her eyes. Touch my shoulder too gently, like someone hugging a ghost. Then, at 7:16 p.m., she cleared her throat. Can we talk? I closed the book I wasn't reading. Nodded. She sat across from me at the kitchen table. Same table where we'd laughed for a decade. Where we made plans. Ate birthday cake. Laughed about nothing. She took a deep breath. Said, I've been stressed. Work's been overwhelming. I might need a weekend to just clear my head. Maybe go visit Jenna in Louisville. Her voice didn't crack. She was good. Practiced. Like she'd rehearsed in the mirror. I let the silence sit between us like a loaded pistol. Then I smiled. A slow, quiet smile. Of course, I said. You deserve a break. That shook her. She wasn't expecting that. She was expecting resistance. A fight. A question. Not approval. She tilted her head, confused. You're okay with it? Why wouldn't I be? I replied. I trust you. And that was the lie that hurt the most. She blinked fast. Swallowed. Her hands were shaking. I could see it. Her fingers curled inward, hiding themselves. I got up, rinsed my glass in the sink. Need anything while I'm out tomorrow? I asked. Gonna grab groceries. She shook her head. No, I'm good. She wasn't good. She was rattled. Because I didn't bite. And she had no idea what to do when she wasn't in control. That night, she barely touched her dinner. I heard her whispering in the guest bathroom on the phone. Doug. Again. She told him the weekend was clear. Said I wasn't suspicious. She was wrong. She just didn't know how wrong. Because I'd already followed Doug twice this week. Not to his office, but to a lawyer. A divorce attorney. Not for him. For me. I'd made a pre-filing. Filed evidence of infidelity. Financial misconduct. Constructed a timeline of texts, photos, and receipts. In Indiana, adultery doesn't guarantee a win in divorce court. But misconduct involving money? That's different. That's leverage. I wasn't just preparing for her to leave. I was waiting for her to try. The next morning, she packed a bag. I watched her from the hallway, calm as still water. She paused at the front door. Looked back. Love you, she said. I smiled. Be safe. And with that, she walked out, thinking she was free. She didn't know I'd installed a dashcam in her car, recording both audio and GPS, didn't know I'd cloned her messages, saw the hotel address she sent to Doug. Room 709. Same as always. She didn't know I'd already sent the footage to my attorney, or that I'd backed up the financial transfers to a cloud drive labeled Tax Audit Prep. And she definitely didn't know I'd mailed a copy of the apartment building's security footage to Doug's firm with a typed note. If this is the man you trust with your assets, imagine what he does with someone else's wife. I wasn't just tearing them apart. I was making them radioactive. By the time Emily checked in at the hotel that evening, the front desk was being watched by a private investigator I'd hired a week earlier. At 9:41 p.m., I got a text. They're in the room. Got audio. You're covered. I sat in the dark living room. Max snored softly at my feet. I sipped a beer and waited. This wasn't about rage anymore. It was about closure. Her closure. And my beginning. Because by the time she came back Sunday night, everything she thought was stable would be gone. She'd lied. She'd gambled. And she'd lost. But she hadn't figured that out yet. She still thought she had time. She came back on Sunday evening. The wind had died. The sky was gray and still, like the world was holding its breath. At exactly 5:42 p.m., her car pulled into the driveway. She sat behind the wheel for a full minute, staring at the house, hands frozen on the steering wheel. Maybe she felt it, the weight in the air. Maybe she knew something had changed. She grabbed her bag, walked up the steps, and slid her key into the front door. It didn't turn. She tried again. Slower this time. Nothing. Then the panic started. I saw it on her face through the peephole. A flicker of disbelief, followed by something deeper. Something colder. She knocked. I didn't answer. She called my name. Still nothing. Then she rang the bell. Once, twice. I waited until the third ring, then opened the door. She stood there with her fake weekend bag, wearing her go-to relaxation outfit, yoga pants, hoodie, hair tied up like she was innocent. Like she hadn't just spent 2 nights with another man. Hey, she said, trying to smile. Something's wrong with my key. I didn't smile back. I changed the locks, I said. Calm. Measured. Like I was talking about the weather. Her face paled. What? Why would you? You don't live here anymore. The silence after that was deafening. The kind that doesn't fill the air. It sucks it out of the room. She blinked. Tom, what are you talking about? I handed her a white envelope. Inside, divorce papers. Copies of bank statements. Photos. A full transcript of her messages with Doug. Every receipt. Every timestamp. I know everything, I said. She didn't move. Didn't breathe. Her hand shook as she pulled the papers out, one by one, like peeling off skin. Tom, please. Just let me explain. I stepped back, arms crossed. You had your chance to explain, I said. Every day. Every night you came home pretending nothing was wrong. You don't get to lie to me and then ask for a conversation. Her voice cracked. It wasn't supposed to be like this. I laughed, quiet, bitter. You're right. It was supposed to be worse. You were going to leave. Take money. Make me the bad guy. Walk away with Doug and your clean little new life. She tried again. Tom, I didn't take anything. I got confused. No, I said. You got caught. The tears started then. The real kind. Not dramatic. Just soft, panicked desperation. I made a mistake. I nodded. So did I. I married you. She reached for me, reflexively, like we could pretend. Like 12 years could be glued back together in a sentence. But I didn't flinch. I already filed. The house is in a holding trust. The accounts are locked. The evidence is submitted. You'll get served formally tomorrow. You can't do this. I already did. She looked past me, into the house. Like she wanted to run inside and grab something. Maybe a photo. Maybe a memory. I stepped forward, blocking the doorway. There's nothing for you in here anymore. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Where am I supposed to go? I stared at her. With him. She broke. Right there on the porch. Collapsed onto the step like her bones had quit. Buried her face in her hands. But I didn't comfort her. She'd made her choice. And now she could live in it. I closed the door. Locked it. Walked back to the kitchen. Sat down in the same chair I had sat in 100 times before. But this time, I felt nothing. Not relief. Not rage. Just stillness. For the first time in months, I could breathe. She was gone. And she wasn't coming back. Doug Mercer was a man who liked to win. You could see it in the way he walked, the way he dressed, the way he smirked through a conversation. Confidence wasn't something he wore. It was something he exhaled. But men like that? They don't notice the smoke until the fire is already in the walls. 2 days after I locked Emily out, Doug's world started to burn. It began with a call from his board. A routine review of employee conduct. He was asked to step away from day-to-day operations. Temporarily. Corporate speak for, you're radioactive. That same day, someone forwarded emails to a few of his biggest clients, screenshots of him conducting personal meetings during business hours, with timestamps and pictures. The anonymous sender used a dummy email address. But everything else? Very, very real. Then came the IRS inquiry. Quiet. Formal. Triggered by a flagged document I had slipped into his digital trail weeks ago, using details from the shell companies Jason uncovered. Suddenly, Doug had lawyers calling him at midnight. Auditors knocking on his glass office door. And Emily? She wasn't staying at his place anymore. She was at a friend's. Lisa. A woman I barely remembered meeting at one of Emily's school fundraisers. I knew because I tracked her phone. Still running my software. She'd forgotten to log out. She texted Doug the next morning. We should disappear for a while. Just until this blows over. Doug didn't respond for 6 hours. When he finally did, his tone was colder. "I need space to clean this up." "Stay low," she sent back. "You're not leaving me too, are you?" He didn't reply. That was the first real crack. The next came 3 days later. A whisper about him circulated at a local bar, the kind of place insurance people drink when they want to brag and pretend they're not nervous. I made sure of it. All it took was one envelope. Sealed. Anonymous. Delivered to the bartender with instructions. "Give this to someone who works in finance." Inside, photos. Expense records. A list of phone numbers. Enough smoke to start a blaze. By the weekend, Doug's name was trending on a regional business blog. Nothing definitive. Just questions. Sources allege, rumors of. But when you're rich and visible, perception is everything. Emily reached out to me once. An email. No subject line. Just one sentence. "Why are you doing this?" I didn't respond. What could I say? Because I trusted you. Because you looked me in the eyes and lied. Because you tried to walk away clean, and now you get to see what dirt really feels like. She stopped trying after that. Doug filed a leave of absence. One of his partners issued a quiet statement about internal restructuring. The Lexus disappeared from the garage. Emily's number got blocked. She had gambled everything, our marriage, her dignity, her future, on a man who couldn't hold under pressure. And now she was alone. I saw her once. A week later. At a gas station. She didn't see me. She looked tired. Her hair wasn't done. No makeup. She was pumping gas into a car that used to be mine. Her hands trembled even holding the nozzle. In one pocket, a phone she barely checked anymore. In the other, a receipt for a motel room 2 towns over. One night at a time. Doug didn't come back for her. No night. No rescue. Just empty space where her new life was supposed to be. Me? I slept better than I had in years. It wasn't about vengeance anymore. Not even justice. It was balance. A world made right again. The house was quiet now. Peaceful. I'd repainted the hallway. Removed her photos. Donated her books. Max still waited by the front door at dusk for a few days. Then he stopped. So did I.